You all want me to read these books. I'm never reading these books. Hello, friends, family, and intimate reading associates. Welcome back to the channel. We have another list. Woo! We have another list video. These are 10 popular books that everybody wants me to read, specifically people in my comment section, that I'm never going to read. Please don't come after me in the comments. I'm going to make this as kind as possible. This has nothing to do with you. This has everything to do with my book taste, and this has everything to do with my severe lack of desire to read any of these titles. Here we go. Book number 10. I can't believe I'm even saying this. 50 Shades of Grey. Yes, there have been people in my comment section, more than I care to admit, that want me to read 50 Shades of Grey. Ever since I read Twilight, go check out that video, that was really funny. Ever since I read Twilight, which is a series I never in my entire life intended to read, people have been like, yo, you know what would be funny? You should read 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, no, not happening. I'm never going anywhere near this book or this series. And I don't think I need to describe what it's about. Let's just say it's about whips and chains and other sadomasochistic erotica nonsense. It just sounds terrible. Even if there is a plot, you're never going to see me pick them up because what would be the point? I'm not somebody who likes smut in books anyway. It's just a personal preference. It's really not that big a deal. But when it comes to something like 50 Shades of Grey, that's the whole point of the book. I don't even know how that sold hundreds of millions of copies. It's beyond me. For literature's sake, no thank you. Absolutely not. Number 9. This is going to break a lot of hearts. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So many people want me to read this. You know, everyone says it's tragic and it's heartwarming and it's heartbreaking and it's so amazing. And if you're anywhere close to being a fan of Greek mythology, here you go. An alternate retelling of the story of Achilles and Patroclus. I have no desire to read this book. I'm a fan of Greek mythology, but I can't say that I'm crazy about it. I'm more into like Norse mythology. And when it comes to Achilles, man, the only picture of Achilles that I have in my mind is the movie Troy and what little I've read of the Iliad and the Odyssey. And I'm sure the Song of Achilles takes a lot from Homer's works, but the twist to the characters and their relationship, I'm not into reading stuff like that. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's amazing. And I'm sure so many people are right in their recommendation for me to read it. But to be honest, it's one of those books I see it on the shelves and I go, yeah, I don't really care. Genuinely not interested. I hate to break it to you, but I'm never gonna read that book. Number 8 is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. To be honest, I don't really have any desire to read a Colleen Hoover book. It's not that I don't think any of her books sound interesting. I'd rather read different authors in her similar genres. You know, like when it comes to her romance, I'd rather read something like an Emily Henry, which is more literary fiction and there's some wit and humor to it and there's usually some great underlying theme to the book and the characters are genuinely great. And not to say that Colleen Hoover doesn't have that going for her. I'm speaking from pure ignorance here. I think I read the first 3 chapters of Verity and was like, I get the point. You know, and at the beginning of the channel, I thought, ooh, I'm going to do this really funny, reading only Colleen Hoover books for like a week. And I never did it because I realized I'm not interested. I don't care. I don't care enough to go out and actually purchase one of her books, sit down and read it when I have all of those books on my physical TBR that I still need to read. There's just so many other things I'm interested in, and Colleen Hoover's just not one of them. I'm very grateful for the influence that a book like this has had on readers, getting them into reading and getting them into fiction as a whole. I usually trust my gut when it comes to matters of fiction, and it's never steered me wrong. So, sorry, Colleen. Number 7. Number 7, I don't know how to say this kindly, but Powerless. I don't have any ounce of desire to read that book. You know, I hear it's kind of like Hunger Games, only it's purely women going into the arena and killing each other for sport. But I don't know anything beyond that. Seems very polarizing to me because on one hand, it's gotten a lot of people into fantasy, which again, so glad. I want people to get into fantasy because fantasy is an amazing genre. And if this is the gateway book for people to do that, awesome. But on the other hand, when it comes to romantasy, I feel like I've already read the best of the best with Sarah J. Maas, Throne of Glass, baby. Really hard to beat. I feel like that is never going to be topped in my estimation. Because I've read something so big like Throne of Glass, it makes me look at something like Powerless and go, you're inadequate. And that's so rude, isn't it? That's so bad. I'm thinking Powerless is inadequate because I've already read another series. And that's so wrong of me to compare already, even though I haven't read both series. I've only read one. I feel like I've gotten enough from social media in the form of book reviews and shorts. And, you know, I don't have any spoilers. Like, I don't know what really happens. I feel like I have enough of a grasp from other creators and how they've reacted to the book that I don't think I need to add my 2 cents. And therefore, I don't feel like I need to actually entertain reading the book. So Powerless is just, it's like so far down on the list of maybes that it will probably never make an appearance on this channel unless somehow it becomes a book swap book for my wife. But who's to say? Number 6 is A Little Life by an author that I can't say the last name of. Oh man, literary fiction, critically acclaimed. Everybody who reads it says that like they went through all the range of emotions. This book has been recommended to me constantly. If I were to count, it's probably been hundreds of times. There was a moment in time where I felt like I wanted to read that book. I entertained that feeling for like a week. Then the mood passed and I no longer have that desire, and in fact I haven't had that desire for a very, very long time. But A Little Life, it's one of those books that it sounds like it has every form of trauma you can imagine stuffed inside of it. The characters just go through absolute hell. I've read some books where trauma is lived through the character's experience. I mean, I've read some pretty jarring stuff, but I don't have the desire to read a book that has as many possible instances of trauma you can imagine. I don't want to read about that. I really don't. I don't want to read an entire book dedicated to just how much garbage can these people go through. It doesn't sound fun. It doesn't sound like a good time. I don't really want to put myself through that. I did see Man Carrying Things review on this book, and he had me laughing, but honestly by the end of it I went, okay, I feel like I know all that I need to know. So thank you, but no thank you. Before we go any further on this list, I need to talk to you about today's sponsor, Curology. The last time that I talked to you about Curology, I was dealing with some acne, some red spotting, and a severe case of dry skin. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm glowing. And this is all because of the professionals over at Curology. You might be thinking, Ian, how do I get this lovely glowing skin like you? It's simple. After going to their website, you'll find that all you need to do is take a skin quiz, which really is just a few questions to help them get to know your skin goals, your skin history, and to help them understand what your skin is currently dealing with. And by the end of that skin quiz, I got my personalized skincare routine, which included my gentle cleanser, my cream moisturizer, and the star of the show, my RX personalized formula, which has acne busting technology and is the real reason I have this amazing complexion. Curology makes it so simple and easy to get your prescription online, which is amazing for those of you who have anxiety about going to a dermatologist. With Curology, you can skip that step. And what's extremely helpful is that Curology allows you to be in contact with a licensed dermatology provider the entire time. And what's also nice is that you can alter your routine as you go. This whole process has been amazing because I'm not the most disciplined person when it comes to my skin, so thankfully Curology has simplified this down to 3 products instead of like a 12-step program. If you want to check out Curology for yourself and take the skin quiz, click the link down below in the description today. And as an added bonus, you'll get a special offer on your first Curology box. Thank you again so much to Curology for sponsoring today's video. Trust me, your skin will thank you. Holy crap, are we already halfway through this thing? All right, number 5. This may disappoint a lot of people. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Friends, family, and intimate reading associates, I cannot tell you how many times Fourth Wing has been recommended to me. Because I'm a fantasy fan, people automatically assume that any type of fantasy is something that I'd be interested in, but that's not the case. First and foremost, I've tried several different kinds of dragon rider tropes, and it's just not for me. As a fantasy fan, I really should be excited about dragons and people who ride them. But I can't bring myself to care. I didn't like Aragon, and I didn't like Ascendant. I didn't like, well crap, I can't even remember the others. And so Fourth Wing is just another version of that. And from what I've heard, her world building is just absurd. Like absolutely absurd. It sounds like it's one of those fantasy books and series that tries to be more fantasy than it should be. And that doesn't sound fun at all. That's what's fun about fantasy, is that you're stepping into a completely new world, and yes, things are confusing and you're disoriented and you don't quite know how to navigate everything. But that's what's fun about certain authors who can pull it off well. By the end of at least that first book, you have a firm grasp on what you're reading. But it sounds like Rebecca Yarros built a labyrinth that you cannot read your way out of. And that doesn't sound fun. If I have to do mental gymnastics to get my way through your world building, I'm probably not going to finish your book. And so, to be honest, I don't even want to pick Fourth Wing up because it doesn't sound like a good time. It's just what I've heard on the street. Don't come after me in the comments. Number 4, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. The first book in the Kingkiller Chronicles. Yep, as much of an epic fantasy fan as I am, I have no desire whatsoever to pick up Kingkiller. I've had this recommended to me countless times, and I don't mean to break your guys' hearts. Again, I'm not attacking your taste, and I'm not being like, don't recommend this book to me. By all means, recommend what you want. The Name of the Wind is a lot like A Little Life, where I had a brief moment, a brief phase in my reading journey where I thought, I'm going to read that book. And then it passed. It passed almost as quickly as it arrived. Now I haven't had that feeling in like a year or more. I had a long talk with Ashlynn's uncle about that book, actually, and he kind of explained some things about it that kind of turned me off. It doesn't sound like a book that I'd really be interested in. To be honest, The Name of the Wind doesn't sound interesting. I'm not gonna lie, like I've read the back and I've seen some spoiler-free reviews, good and bad. So I've watched both sides of the aisle, and I've come to the decision that I just don't care enough. And that sounds really bad, but I don't. That's sad, but that's how I feel. Not every book that's recommended to me am I going to read. Maybe somebody's going to have to do some extreme convincing in the comments to maybe make me change my mind. And that goes for any of these books on this list. For now, The Name of the Wind, not happening. Wow, top 3 already. Number 3 is not really a book as it is an entire genre. That is manga. That's right, you heard me. The entire genre of manga. I have had countless volumes, countless manga series recommended to me. And guys, I'm not interested as a whole. Not to say that it doesn't have its place in literature, not to say that it hasn't done incredible things for a lot of people. And I actually am a fan of a lot of the anime series that either inspired the manga or the manga inspired. I grew up on One Piece, the show. I grew up on Bleach. I grew up on Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and I grew up on all of those things, and I loved those shows as a kid, but as an adult, I have no ounce of desire within me to pick up any volume of manga and actually read it. That's just how it is. Again, time could tell. That could change. I could finally find that one series that does it for me. And, Berserk sounds like something that might be up my alley. Vinland Saga sounds like it'd be up my alley. At the moment, as it stands right now, I don't want to even entertain manga. I have flipped through some volumes, and I will say the art is fantastic. I gotta give it to some of these artists. Holy crap! The fact that one person's imagination came up with all of that is wild. I just don't know if it's a format of literature that I really would go all in on, so I don't know. That sounds sad to say, but the entire genre just doesn't do it for me. Number 2. This is a recent recommendation, but it's been recommended quite a bit. Again, because I'm a fantasy fan, this book is often recommended. So that is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. I've seen a lot of reviews on this book, spoiler free. I don't know anything about this book really, but guys, I know so many of you love this book. I know Dungeon Crawler Carl became this fantasy phenomenon over the past year or so, and so many people they talk about how funny it is, how exciting it is, and how wildly bingeable these books are. But at the core of it, I am not interested in reading about lit RPG. As much as I am a fan of video games, I can't say that I'm a huge gamer. And so when it comes to books written in a game style to scratch the itch for gamers but make it like fantasy or whatever, I'm not interested. It's never interested me. As much as I like role-playing games like The Witcher 3 or Skyrim or Red Dead Redemption, I don't want to read anything like that. Except, I guess, when it comes to The Witcher, because The Witcher books are phenomenal. And besides, The Witcher books came first before the video games, and they don't read like lit RPG, they actually read like high fantasy, and the games on top of that actually just kind of add to the atmosphere that the book started. It's almost like they're carrying on that great and epic story, so yeah, it's just no comparison. And even if this book is incredible, and I've even seen, Mike, he's kind of changed his mind. I felt like he was probably in that same boat as me for a long time until he finally read it, and now he's like, oh wow, this is great. Like, his mind has been changed. That's wonderful. And maybe that will be me one day down the road. But as it stands currently, I'm not interested in Dungeon Crawler Carl. Maybe you're gonna have to do some heavy convincing as well. I don't know about the whole lit RPG thing, guys. I just don't. Wow, number 1. Who could it be? What book could it be? This is an author that I've had a tumultuous relationship for the last 8 years. And some of you probably know exactly where I'm headed with this. That's right, it's the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson. Oh, dude, I know a year ago, I was like, yep, I want to read these books. I really did. I wanted to read Stormlight, and maybe deep down, a part of me still really wants to, but I've just been burned by Sanderson's books and the Sanderson community. I read Mistborn, and it took me 7 years to read that book. And I walked away thinking that was a complete waste of my time. Like, I did not enjoy my time with the first Mistborn book. And a lot of people in the comments said, well, if you didn't like the first one, you're not going to like that second one. So maybe don't finish Mistborn, just go to Stormlight. I appreciated those. But then there were the people that came after me because I didn't like Mistborn or Sanderson. These people were like, well, I can't trust your book taste. You're no longer a booktuber I can support. I can't take you seriously. They all took it so personal. Guys, you didn't write the book. You're not Brandon Sanderson. And I don't think Brandon Sanderson would treat me that way if I told him I didn't like his book. So let's not take it so personal. I made it 300 pages into The Way of Kings. And I didn't tell anybody. I was going to do this big surprise vlog. 300 pages of 1007. I made it 30%. I felt, why is nothing happening? How has nothing happened in 300 pages? And you know what I was told by people close to me who actually like the series? You have to get through at least 800 pages before stuff really picks up, because he does a lot of world building and setup, and then those like last 200 pages, fire. Excuse me? I didn't have it in me to commit. The thing about Sanderson, I just don't like his writing style, and I don't like the way he does characters. I'm calling it quits. Like, permanently on Sanderson. And I know a lot of you are going to be so upset about that. I just want you to know that I'm not saying that they're bad books. I'm not saying that he's a bad writer. I'm saying that my personal taste wants something else. I don't mesh with his writing. I don't mesh with his fantasy. I don't mesh with his world building. I want something completely different. He doesn't do it for me. So come at me if you want in the comments, but you're silly for doing so because you're taking something way personal when it has nothing to do with you. And I had to get that off my chest. So many people to this day still want me to read Stormlight, and I'm gonna tell you, the only way it's gonna happen is in a troll video. If the Sanderson people do not relent and don't leave me alone and give me so much grief and hassle me about me not liking Sanderson, I'm gonna do a video where I read the Stormlight archives backwards. I'm gonna start with Crappy Wind and Truth, and I call it crappy because so many people think it's crappy. I'm gonna start with book 5 and work my way to Way of Kings, and maybe then I'll actually enjoy it. So how about that? I digress. This was 10 popular books that everybody wants me to read that I'm never going to. Thanks for listening to me rant yet again. I know these videos are entertaining for a lot of you, and they're really fun for me to make because I think about books, well, 24/7 because it's my job. Thanks for sticking around this long. I hope I didn't make too many of you sour. I hope I didn't make too many of you have hard feelings. This is all in jest. It has nothing to do with any of you. This has everything to do with me and my book taste, and I hope one day I broaden my horizons. Today's not that day. And if you're interested in Curology, remember to click the link down below in the description to get a special offer on your first box. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. If you enjoyed this video, there's plenty more where that came from. Make sure to go check out the next video that's recommended for you right here on the screen, and have a fantastic day.